Okay, so the topic today is teach retail accounting with MonsoonSIM. And I'm going to focus more on the accounting side. The retail side is there, but we can discuss more on the retail side. But basically, I'm going to use a retail business to teach accounting, and let's take it from there, right? Okay, what is MonsoonSIM? I think a lot of you have known MonsoonSIM, but maybe there's some of you that don't know MonsoonSIM. It's okay. Let me just take maybe 2-3 minutes to explain about MonsoonSIM. MonsoonSIM is a platform or a cloud access services which allow you as a teacher to become facilitator. You then, as a facilitator, can configure MonsoonSIM into various business scenarios. You can define a scenario, say a very simple retail business, and allow your student to learn through game and simulation in groups. Or you can define a more complex business area scenario, such as retail game plus logistic game into one game. And you can then allow your students to play them. And if you like to be more complicated, you can always add more complexity. Again, it depends on the level of your student. Then the student will play the game and learn from there. So the student will learn through gamification and simulation. It's a very unique platform. It's a very unique approach that I like to highlight is the fact that we are supporting both gamification and simulation simultaneously. So you become a facilitator again, and the student will learn through game and simulation. So this is the uniqueness of MonsoonSIM. We have a unique dual mode of teaching, that is gamification plus simulation. Let's take a look at our learning model. When it comes to game, everybody wants to win. Nobody wants to play a game to lose. So there is a need to win in the mind of your students. From the need to win, your student then will develop a need to know. And from there, there is a need to explore and thereby experience. And thereby they learn. So sometimes they make mistakes, which is great, because making mistake is the best teaching. It's the best teacher. So now, from the mistake, they will learn. So this is something that they couldn't get in the normal class, I suppose, because they won't make mistake in a normal class. Then let's continue. Sometimes, because of the game, they need to experiment with ideas and strategy. And there, they need to explore and experience again. And the same thing goes, they sometimes make mistake and then they learn. Then there is a need to collaborate with teammates, because MonsoonSIM is a team game. And therefore, they also appreciate the power of teamwork, and they will learn through teamwork. Then, because there is a simulation built into the game, sometimes the teacher would use simulation to teach certain concept. Now, because of the need to win, they will pay attention to your simulation. And therefore they learn. So by combining gamification and simulation, you are achieving your objective of giving them a self-directed learning, plus getting them to appreciate the power of teamwork and also team building. Let's see how this applies to accounting for retail business. Now, what I'm going to show you is assuming that you are already a MonsoonSIM facilitator. Let's take the whole model that we saw just now. and break it down to a retail accounting. So when you define a game for them, you tell them that you've got to be profitable. And therefore, there is a need to avoid bankruptcy, because if you're bankrupt, then you're out of the game. So there is a driver there. They need to win, which then move on to develop the need to know. And what do they need to know? How to increase asset. How does the asset relate to the revenue? How to increase sales, for example. How to achieve good profitability. How to reduce expenses. So from the need to win, they need to develop the need to know the following. And from there, they can experience and explore in the game, such as they change a retail price. They can also opening multiple stores. They can also changing the rental contracts. They can reduce the overflow fee. Suppose there is an overflow in the capacity. They can also lower the cost by buying in bulk. See, these are the things that they can explore and experience. Of course, sometimes they make mistakes, such as they bought too little, or they bought too much, or they ran out of cash. As you know, cash is oxygen. So at every moment, a company needs cash. Maybe they're out of inventory. These are some of the mistakes that they would experience when they play MonsoonSIM. Or they become overly aggressive in playing the game, and they forgot the need for maintaining a good cash flow. Or they are overly conservative, and they forgot to use asset to generate more asset. Thereby, they are not improving the equity. Or they misread the market demand. They forgot that there's something that we need to understand about the marketplace, about our competitors. They also misjudge the competitors. So these are some of the mistakes that they will make. All right. And then what they learn is they will learn why retail business is not easy, why we need cash control, why we need proper financial reports. That's where they understand and appreciate the accounting financial report. Why we need accounting. That's exactly what we're trying to teach the student. Let's start with why they need to understand accounting. Once they appreciate the power of accounting or the importance of accounting, which is an integral part of an enterprise, then we'll start to understand the rest. Then they will appreciate all the journal entries and all the journals and all the chart of account and so on. Then they have to why track the profit per store, why they need teamwork. So that's how you apply this model into a retail business. Okay, let's take a few examples of, once again, simulation and gamification in MonsoonSIM. Example one, let's start with something, the most basic elements of financial statement. What are they? The asset, the expense, liability, equity, and revenue. In simulation mode, MonsoonSIM can be used to teach them what they are. You can run a game and then you stop the game and then you tell them, here is your asset, this is your expense, this is your liability, and so on. And that is their game, that's their company. So the number makes sense to the student. It's their own operation, but you can show it to them what they are. That's a lot better than showing PowerPoint, right? The theory of asset, expense, and so on. Now we're looking at their own business and tell them that this is your asset, this is your expense, right? So the simulation part can achieve that, teach the student what they are. But what about the gamification part? The gamification part will teach them why these elements exist and why they are important. That is something really difficult to teach using PowerPoint and e-learning. And sometimes it can only be achieved through a simulation and gamification, because when they run the game, because of the need to win the game, they appreciate, I know, now I know what is asset. I need to increase my asset. I need to utilize my asset. My return on asset is very low. How can I improve my return on asset? And so on. So the gamification will complement your teaching process by giving them something that is hard to teach normally, right? In PowerPoint and a normal classroom, you can tell your student 1,000 times to be very, very careful about cash flow, for example, and they still do not really appreciate it until they experience it. And now they understand the importance of getting revenue, the importance of controlling the expense. Okay, next example, journal entry, a very simple, basic accounting a lesson. In a simulation, in MonsoonSIM simulation, you can teach the student what they are and how they are being posted very easily. I'll show you in a moment how we do that. Okay, you can stop the game, you can run the game, you stop, and then you show them, okay, so these are the journals. This is why your asset is going. So you are debiting your expenses. You're debiting your asset. And this is how they affect your financial report, so on. So in the simulation, you can teach them what they are and how they're posted. But what about the gamification part? The gamification part will teach your student why journal entries are important and why companies need to ensure prompt, proper, accurate journal entries. These are the things that you can tell them 1,000 times and they just do not appreciate normally. Only when they run their own company, then they will appreciate. Because if their teammates fail to enter a prompt, proper, accurate journal entry, then their business will run into problem because they couldn't get a loan because their financial report is not accurate. That's what the gamification part can teach them, the importance of it, why, the why of it. Let's take a third example, financial report. In simulation, you teach the student what they are. Very easy. I'll show you in a moment. You stop the game. You show them this is your financial report. This is your cash flow. This is your profit and loss. And this is your trial balance and so on. The gamification part will teach the student why these are important and why accounting is the core function of any business. They will appreciate because without this report, they won't know what is going on with the company. They won't know if they are winning or losing. They won't be able to get a loan, for example, or they may not know how to control their costs, for example. Now they understand the power or the reason why we need financial reports. So let's try it. Again, this is assuming that you are already a MonsoonSIM facilitator. This is the entire MonsoonSIM model. We can simulate and play a game out of this, which looks very complex. Yes, it is quite complex. It has over 500 business concepts built into the game. We have HR, service, accounting, finance, maintenance, forecast, warehouse, procurement, production, MRP, retail marketing, e-commerce, etc. So you can build such a scenario if you like, or you can start slow, right? We're going to start something very easy. We're going to take a very simple piece of this and we will run a game out of it, make a game out of it. We run a simple retail business. That's it. We have a store. We need to have a store because retail involves having this store. And then we have to have a vendor, which will make procurement. And when the goods comes in, then we sell. That's a retail business. And we are going to configure the following in MonsoonSIM. Here is the configuration. We're going to turn on the retail. We're going to turn on procurement. We're going to have human resource, which is human capital management. We're going to have vendor 1, vendor 2. We're going to use accrual accounting instead of cash accounting. And then we set the initial cash to be 1 million. So let's do that. I'm going to go to MonsoonSIM now and create just the kind of environment that we discussed. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to create a game called Retail Demo. And I'm going to use my server, which is a lab. And I'm going to use, say, Southeast Asia as my location, as my locale. All right. Then I'm going to start the game. And there we go. I create a game. I created a game called Retail Demo. So I'm assuming I have 50 students that I'm teaching right now, assuming. So this is how I am going to teach using MonsoonSIM. So the game has been set up and I run the game. So first thing first is I'm going to create a few teams. All right, so I have 3 teams, company 1, company 2, company 3. Now, normally all the students would have signed in here. They would be here, like 10 students, 5 students, 7 students here making up their company, and then we can run. So let's go to the scenario. We're going to turn on retail. So I'm going to turn on retail on, and I'm going to turn on procurement on. I will turn on procurement, enable procurement, yes, right? And I'm going to turn on human capital management. So human capital management is on, all right? And then I will turn on vendor 1. I will make the delivery on time to be, we have a vendor here. And I will set the delivery vendor, the on time to be 100% reliable. Okay. So let's see our setting now. Okay, human resource on, procurement on, and then our vendor 1 is now 100% reliable, which means that we can rely on their lead time 100%. This is how we configure MonsoonSIM. And let's go on. We have then vendor 2, 100% delivery. So vendor 2, the deliverables, the on-time reliability, let's make it 100% also. Okay, 100%. Then we go to the third one, accrual accounting on. Then we go to finance. We use accrual accounting. We turn on. Yes. So there we go. Accrual accounting is on. Right? And then we say initial cash is 1 million. So right now, I think our initial cash is 3.5 million. I'm going to make it 1 million. Yeah. All right. There you go. So I have changed the setting such that I'm ready to run the scenario, run the game. Okay. Now, in this context, I'm expecting the student to understand revenue, overhead, purchasing, profitability, capacity planning, liability, current ratio, credit rating, bankruptcy. Okay, so this is a knowledge build up for the learners. Right. So let's go back to the game. I have this little roadmap to share so that maybe you can. So I'm going to set up a retail game and initialize, which is what I'm doing now. And then I will observe the starting balances. I'm going to explain the basic concepts such as store setup, procurement, and capacity planning. Okay, so here we go. I have set up my game and I have prepared all the virtual learner for me to do some simulation. Okay, Okay, so this is some learners. I'm going to put in a robot here. So just to share with you, in MonsoonSIM, we have a few robots that you can put in. Now the robot is going to be competing with the human. Okay, so the robot is here. And this robot will be competing with the three human here. These are virtual learner, and this is the robot learner with a bot at the back. Yeah. Okay, going back to this one. So what do we do here? I've set it up. So let's observe a few things. Observe the basic. So I'm going to initialize the game. I'm initializing the game. The game has been initialized. Then I will share with you what the student will see. Let's suppose this MonsoonSIM here. This is the student. I can see his screen and I can explain to you. Look at the cash on hand currently 1 million. Yeah, that's what we set, 1 million cash. And we have this overdraft of 2.5 million from the bank. Sorry, overdraft is here. So there's an overdraft, 2.5 million. All right. So that's it. That's the initial balance. Now, let's go back to our roadmap and say run for 2 days. Okay. Now, before I do that, let me take a look at the human resource. Let's see. How many staff that we have in this game for the student? There are 8 staff. Yeah, in procurement department, there are 4 staff, and HR department, there are 4 staff. So altogether, there are 8 staff. Yeah, 8 staff working, 4 staff working in each department. So each staff, let's take a look at their salary. If you look at the human resource, the salary is 350 Sing dollar per day. Okay, initial staff salary expense. Therefore, if I run the game for 1 day, what will happen to my money? My money will be less because I have to pay the staff. And how much I'm paying? I'm paying 8 times, because there are 8 staff, by 350 Sing dollar. So I am going to pay 2,800 per day. Yes. All right. So I'm going to run the game, say for 2 days. I'm going to run the game for 2 days. I'm going to stop on day 2 and see what happens. So the game will start, and then it will run for 2 days. Let it run for 2 days. It's okay. So the game is running. Day 1. There's a stop sign here. That means it's going to stop on day 2. All right. So 2 days is gone. Let's have a look at their statement. How much cash they have now? 994. It started with 1 million and now it's 994. Why is that? Because, let's check it out. P&L. I have OPEX, operating expense of 5,600. And what are they? They are salary expense, 5,600 for the 2 days, because every day is 2,800. So for 2 days, I'm already losing money. My God, right? If I continue like this, I'm going to be in trouble, because if you look at my net profit, I'm already net profit of minus 5,600 because of the 2 days expense. I've hired staff, but I don't do anything. That's why I'm losing money. Now let's take a look at the cash flow. I started with 1 million and I end up with 994. Where has the money gone? The money has gone to the following. Net cash provided used in operating activity, 5,600. Okay, so just for 2 days, I can observe quite a bit of things, right? Let's have a look at our balance sheet. What happened here? Look at our asset is 994,000, and our liability, I have no liability at this moment, so it's 0. But my equity is now reduced to 994. Okay, I understand that you guys, when you teach accounting, is always asset with the liability and owner's equity, and this is exactly what you're looking at. And it's happening immediately in front of the students. Okay, and of course, you can look at the trial balance. This is the trial balance, left and right must be equal, and look at the operating expense, 5,600, and is under salary expense. And what do you expect, right? Because expense, when you increase expense, is in debit column, right? So debit 2008 for day 1, day 2. That's the debit. Now, the reverse is on your cash here. Look at that. The cash is your asset. What happened to the asset is credit, 2,800. So you spend 5,600 for the 2 days. So all the accountings start to appear, yeah? All the asset, all the journal entries, all the financial report, it starts to make sense for the student. Okay, back to our roadmap. We were here, and then we say observe asset change, which we did, observe operating expense, which we did, observe cash change, which we did, P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow. We did all that. Okay, I hope the student saw that also. Then we run for 7 days. Let's just run for 7 days. So I'm going to run for 7 days, and I'm going to do some simulation. Again, as I said earlier, MonsoonSIM, you can play game or you can play simulation. Now I'm going to use simulation to run for 7 days. So if I run for 7 days, now is day 2. If I run for 7 days, it must be day 9. So I'm going to stop on day 9. So I set it to stop on day 9, and I run for 20 days, 7 days. Sorry. Day 9, yeah. Okay, so it's running. So what do I do here? So in a game, as it's running, I'm going to go and do retail and rent a store. So here is my store. I will rent a place in Singapore, a retail store, 50-meter area, and I'm going to approve it. So what happened now? I have started a store in Singapore. And then I have received some goods. I'll look at the store come in here. Now I can buy some goods into Singapore. Let's say I buy 20,000 orange apple juice to Singapore. And let's see what happened. So as my procurement, I have to approve it. And you look at my store in Singapore, I have made 20 purchase, purchased 20,000 packs of apple juice, and it should be coming. There you go. It has come. So now look at that. I've already got revenue, and I have my COGS, and I have my trading profit, operating expense, all laid out before me. Okay, the game has stopped on day 9, and now let's have some discussion. So here we go. First, we have done that. Then we run for 2 days when we have observed all the changes, and then we look at run for 7 days. Then, acting as one of the learners, I have set up a store. I have bought some goods, and I've observed the sales being recorded. Right? Set up additional store if needed. All right. So here we are. Now, what do I observe? I have to observe the asset, the expenses, the equity, revenue, liability, the five elements of the financial statement. I'm going to observe the P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, trial balance, and then I'm going to challenge the student how to improve sales, improve margin, and improve profit. So let's go back to the game. This is 7 days. Let's look at the P&L. Now you see the line item. Revenue, 57,000 now. Why? Because I have sold some goods in Singapore. I have sold some apple juice, amount to 57,000. That's my sales or revenue. And then because I have costs, because when I bought it, I have to pay some money, and the cost is 29,983. Therefore, I'm generating a trading profit of 27. Unfortunately, my operating expense still far above my trading profit, and therefore I am incurring a net profit and net loss. And where is my operating expense? Let's have a look. Aha, it looks like I have salary expense. Yes, you saw it earlier because every day I have to pay 2,800. Now I have incurred additional expense called rental expense, which is 11,200. Then I have also incurred overflow because I bought too much for my store. You see, my store is only 50 meters and I bought so much. So now I have overspent, overbought. This is one of the mistakes that I made. Remember earlier, mistake is something that is very valuable to the learners. They will learn. You can't have a very small store and bought a lot of goods. You cannot do that, right? You have to increase your rental space. And then you look at this, there's a human resource expense, 60,000. I wonder what they are, right? You explain to the student. Now let's take a look at the human resource and look at that. Now we have 3 departments. Earlier, we only have human resource, which has 4 staff. Look at that. And then we have procurement, which has 4 staff. But now in Singapore, we have 4 staff. So there's a cost associated with recruiting all these 4 people. And the cost is eating up our profit because it comes in the form of expense. Okay, so let's verify that. Let's go to the financial statement and let's look at the profit and loss. Again, this is your recruitment cost, human resource 60,000. Where are they? You can go to the trial balance and you can check out your expense, operating expense, and look at it. You have human resource expense. Let's take a look at this. What is it? Recruiting Singapore. So you spend 60,000 recruiting the 4 staff. That's why you have the 60,000. And again, because it's expense, if you increase the expense, you debit it. Okay? So therefore, the reverse is on the cash side. If you look at the cash side, there is the reverse is true. Cash on hand, you look at the recruitment. Where's the recruitment? The recruitment Singapore. Here, there you go. It's on the credit. All right, so you're reducing your cash, you increase your expense. There you go. So this makes up your total operating expense and therefore your P&L. You can look at the cash flow. Once again, same thing. You start with 1 million and you end up with 684,000. Now, one thing good about MonsoonSIM is you can always search the cash flow based on every day. So for example, if I want to look at last day is 9, you can say last day is 1 and see what happened. So this is what happened on the first day. Yeah, so day by day you can see your cash reducing. On day 1, that's your cash, and then you go to day 2, your cash is double the expenses, 2008 by 2, and then day 3. So you can let your student go through this by themselves, looking at where all the money is going and how the financial elements behave. All right. So let's go back to this. Where have we got? We have done this. We have run for 2 days. We have run for 7 days. And we are doing observe asset, expense, equity, revenue, liability. Do we have liability? No, we don't. Because right now, or maybe we do. Let me see. Because we are running. Let's take a look at the liability. Let's take a look at balance sheet. No, we don't. All right. So that's where we are. Account receivable, account. Yeah, that's all. The inventory value, by the way, you can also cross-check with the value of the purchase that you made. Okay, so that's part of the asset. And then we have done this. Observe the P&L. We did this. Observe the balance sheet. We did that. Cash flow balance. Now this is the time you challenge the student. You challenge the student. How can you become profitable? How to promote, how to improve sales, how to improve your margin. So if I were the student, what should I do now? Right? I have got revenue. I'm starting to sell. I got some trading profit, but not enough. So maybe I have to sell more stuff, like buying some orange juice, buying some melon juice, and maybe I should open up more store, such as going to rental store, or going to a location and pick up another area, such as in Manila. Maybe I open a store in Manila, right? Or maybe I reduce the price. Maybe I reduce the price, like here. Maybe I can reduce the price, show the price. Maybe I can reduce the price and set the price. Or maybe I increase the price to get better margin, right? And maybe I do bulk procurement to lower my cost, because every time I buy in bulk, look at that, I get discount. So if I buy in bulk, I get discount, thereby I'm reducing my cost, because we are using average costing. And if you reduce your cost, look at what the impact is on your P&L. It's going to improve your profit. Yes. Because your COGS, if it is reduced, then you have better trading profit. And if you have net profit, then what we'll do, if you look at your balance sheet, that means you improve your equity. Because right now you are running a net profit. So they're all related. A simple transaction that is properly recorded will give you a lot of information about the company. Now, in running a company, there are so many transactions that you have to record, right? So the student will appreciate the power of prompt, accurate, and proper journal entry. Now, imagine if the student entered the journal wrongly, then everything becomes confusing, right? The balance sheet is not balanced, the profit and loss is not accurate, and your cash flow is not accurate, and the whole company cannot function. Now they appreciate the power of accounting and the power of the importance of accounting. So let's go back to the slide, the last page, the last step that we do. Then we can reset to day 0 again and start the game. So remember, earlier we are just doing simulation, this color. Now we can start the gamification and let them run the game, right? So, and we can always repeat this. As much as the student wants, we can repeat the game, reset to 0 and start the game again, because they may learn something that they want to experience. They want to explore. Let them explore. Let them learn through the process. So repeat when necessary, and then add complexity when necessary. And you can always switch to a simulation mode and run the simulation, stop, and then back to the game and resume the game. So you can always interchange, switch between gamification and simulation, and continue this process. All right, so now let's continue. I will say reset the game and start the game. So suppose I reset the game. Let's say here, I'm going to reset the game. Yeah, I'm going to turn off the stop sign because there's stop. I'm going to delete the stop. There you go. And then I will initialize the game and run the game. So this time I'm going to run for, let's say 20 days. I'm going to make it a bit faster just to show you what happened. In fact, I'm going to add another robot here. So there's two robots competing. So there's any bot here. I'm going to put a robot here called John bot, and then I will let them run, initialize the game, and let them run. Okay, let them go. And you can run the game. Yep. So if there are students here now is the time the students do it themselves, right? The student will have to go through this. They have to set up the store. They have to buy goods. They have to sell goods, etc. And you can also act on behalf of the student. So, for example, you can act on behalf of Resim and you do a transaction based on Resim. Yeah, such as this. Go to location, pick up something, and then buy something and let it. Yeah, you can then buy into. Okay, so you're buying, selling. And at the same time, you can watch. And you can even watch it live if you like and show the student live data as it happens. Okay, so there are three companies, two robots and one that I just simulate. Again, there's a lot to talk about the accounting side because it's all there. You can slow it down, you can make it faster, you can explain along the accounting side of it. Okay, let's take a look at the accounting side. It's already happening, something like this. So this is the teacher screen and this is the learner screen. Again, we have this one day train the trainer, certified trainer. It's currently free with 1 day. And once you go through that day, you will be able to run what I did for your students. Summary, the top 10 reasons MonsoonSIM can help make your accounting class more fun and effective. Yeah. First, your students, they do active self-directed learning. Again, the learning is done by them. They go through the experience, they explore, they discover, they observe. Students learn the why, not just the how and the what, because sometimes the why is very important, but it's really hard to explain. Just like you tell your kids, don't play with fire. You can tell them 1,000 times, they still don't understand why they shouldn't play with fire, right? So that's similar. Students learn in the context of playing a game. So it's always fun and fun and fun, right? Getting them to like your class, to like to come to your session is very important. To not look at the mobile phone while you teach, right? To pay attention, that's very important. And there's dual teaching mode. Facilitator can stop the game and switch to simulation mode, explain, and then resume the game. Facilitator can reset the game and restart to ensure all the mistakes are corrected and learning is enforced. My recommendation is always reset the game because every game, the dynamics of the game is different. The market demand is different. Sometimes it's such, is such a way that they have to discover them through like a real business. They have to discover what's the market demand for this juice. The student will learn accounting is never a silo subject, and this is important, right? Accounting is an integral part of a business. because you don't just study debit and credit and T account and so on. You really have to look at the accounting from the context of a big business. Students will also build empathy about other departments. By playing a game, then they will understand accounting is related to sales, accounting is related to logistics, accounting is related to human resource, and so on. A student makes mistake and they learn from it. And there's nothing to memorize. In MonsoonSIM, there's nothing to remember. They don't have to remember anything. They don't have to remember, what is the, there's no how thing that is important here. We talk about why, we talk about concept, we talk about the importance, the urgency of matters. So there's nothing to memorize. And also students can appreciate the power of teamwork. Why do we teach how to teach experience if we teach it in silo, right? Because real work is always in integration.